Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you everyone for attending. So before we start, I just want to talk about a few housekeeping announcements. So let's make sure that everyone's mic is muted throughout the presentation, please. If you have any questions, feel free to send them into the chat. We will be answering questions towards the end. Also, just a reminder that this presentation is recorded. For anyone who is new to the Nigerian Center, we are a nonprofit organization that focuses on uplifting and giving resources to the Nigerian diaspora in the US. We aim to accomplish this in a variety of ways. We offer immigration legal services, homeownership services, entrepreneurship, and small business resources, as well as language classes. We also host cultural events centered around Nigerian culture. While we are called the Nigerian Center, our principal goal is to uplift all immigrant communities here in the US. Now, moving towards today's event, today's speaker who has courteously volunteered his time is Mr. Douglas Ezet, who is a wealth strategist, financial advisor, and CEO. Today's topic is access to capital. But before we hear from him, we will have a brief word from our CEO and founder, Mr. Benga Ogunjimi. Benga, the podium's all yours.
Thank you so much, Tyler, for the introduction and starting us strong. Hi, everyone. My name is Benga Ogunjimi, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Nigerian Center. It's a great joy to lead this particular presentation as we start the beginning of our access to capital opportunities. The Nigerian Center core mission is to foster financial inclusion for Nigerian American communities in the United States. So this particular program is a milestone, allowing us to provide capital into the hands of people who need them so they can experience their own American journey and realize the American dream. I want to speak a little bit more about the Nigerian Center for those who are just connecting to the Nigerian Center for the very first time. Nigerian Center is a response to a well-known strategy every other immigrant groups utilize in America to foster financial inclusion, which is the establishment of cultural and immigrant centers. In every community, we see those centers. They help provide a pathway for citizenship. They help provide a pathway for opportunities in America. They help provide a pathway even navigating the American cultural identity. And communities that have them, people in those communities thrive. And this seems to accelerate their own journey towards self-sufficiency and ultimately making them able to contribute to the overall prosperity of the United States. So community immigrant centers are known for this. However, in the Nigerian American community, we interestingly are just having our own community center. And as you know, Nigeria is a very important ally for the United States, one of the largest economies on the continent. But what that means is that it has both domestic and international implications for US policy. Nigerians makes up a significant population in the Washington, DC area immigrants group. And several organizations from FaceBase to the Mayor's Office of African Affairs responds to opportunities to provide social justice. So we thought we amplified their efforts, and we thought we complement their efforts by the establishment of the Nigerian Cultural and Immigrant Center. As Tyler mentioned, we've identified a few areas of asset building to accomplish this. The very first program that we run is the Immigration Justice Access Program. We've been running Know Your Rights immigration workshops. And since the time we've started, we've been trying to cover the entire spectrum of the immigration process. If you would go to our website, we can see past recordings of our immigration classes relating to humanitarian immigration, work-based immigration, policy changes to immigration, and our upcoming immigration class is going to be family-based immigration. The next program that we have identified is home ownership. We know that home ownership is the cornerstone for wealth building in America, and not just in America, but in every country. Statistics show us that without the ownership of your primary residence, it is very difficult to become financially free in the United States. And it's almost impossible to participate in the journey of generational wealth. And we know due to several barriers, from legal status to understanding the complexities of the mortgage system, and really just living in fear of the unknown, a lot of immigrants continue to stay renting their permanent residence, even though they have the resources to home them. Our next program is Access to Capital. And today's entire presentation is going to be on access to capital. We've also started to do language classes, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, for those who are first-generation Nigerian American, and even those who come from the global African diaspora. We're just trying to connect to the Nigerian culture. These classes have been offered virtually at this time. So in terms of our upcoming opportunities, our next event is the, as I mentioned, family-based immigration. And it's going to happen in August 31st on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. This particular program is important because, as you know, our community, our family-based immigration is usually our pathway to citizenship and naturalization or permanent residency status. And while it is a typical pathway, oftentimes folks run into certain barriers, ranging from how they complete the application form, the time they file, what they say, what they should say, what they don't say, and just really having to self-represent themselves. The system allows you the opportunity to do so, but it's encouraged that you have legal representation to do so. So we are going to be looking at the entire spectrum of family-based immigration. So this particular upcoming class is going to be very important. I also want to release an invitation to community groups who want to partner with us on these particular workshops. And this includes all the nonprofits serving other immigrant groups, faith-based organizations, cultural groups, professional groups, so we can put these resources in their hands. That's it. I want to also talk about a few opportunities for you to connect to the work that we're doing. We have the on-demand videos. So if you will go to the Nigerian Center website on the media, you can see the recording of all our previous workshops. This particular class is also going to be recorded and uploaded to the website. So we ask that you take advantage of the resources that we currently have. I want to ask for volunteering opportunities to join our team. Currently, we are an entire volunteer-led organization. So we can benefit from your support in terms of volunteering. Please send us an email, join as a volunteer in any capacity that you want to serve. Please reach out to us to be a part of the work that we're doing. We just started a new program called Community Partners. The Community Partners program is open to members of various communities serving immigrants. Community partners, our extension, our hands, our eyes, our ears in the community. They tell us the priority of their communities, and they give us advice and advisory in terms of how to design our programs. And they give us important data which to incorporate in our program design. So we are representing those interests. We also know that in our community sometimes, in as much where we come from, we're very communal, but when we come to the United States, just because of the fear of the unknown, folks sometimes tend to go insular. So this particular program is to give us access to places and communities we cannot reach by ourselves. So right now we have organizations like NAPAC Foundation. We have organizations like NANA, Nigerian Association of Nurses, and we have the Redeemed Churches being part of this community. So we want more organizations, folks in the media, business community, whatever community you represent that can utilize our program, please reach out and be a part of our community partners. If you have not, please join us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Nigerian Center, the Nigerian Center. On Twitter, we are just Nigerian Center. Please follow us on those platforms. I want to talk about donations. We definitely need your donation. We want to ask that you consider partnering with us. As we mentioned, we're entirely volunteer-led team. Your donations would help us to continue to provide the services we provide. If you want to be a recurring donor, we encourage that. If you want to be a single member donor, we encourage that. So if you will go to Nigerian Center /donate, I believe the link should be in the chat box very soon. I will not take exception. I will not stop you. I will not frown at you. If you want to temporarily go to the website and make donations right now, you have my full blessings to do so. We are 501c3 tax deductible for your donations. Okay, so we want to be, before we go into today's presentation and introduce our dynamic, inspirational speaker, I want to do an overview of our loan programs and talk about specific opportunities, after which I'm going to open it for Q&A to do response to the questions you may have regarding our loan programs. And then there'll be a short video that I'll play to introduce our speaker. And then you're going to be hearing from our guest speaker. Before then, let me kind of check the chat box and see how we're doing. Okay, great. So we have, as I mentioned, we have two major loan opportunities. One is for credit building. And the reason we thought credit building is super important is because oftentimes when folks come into the United States, in many African countries, we do not have a credit system. And we also have culture around owing people money. So our cultural paradigm when it comes to money is financial freedom starts from not owing anyone money. So we all aspire and we all thrive to be debt-free. For some of us, it is spiritually based, for some of us, it's culturally based. But interestingly, the system in America is a little bit different. And when folks come into America, it takes them years and years and years to finally consider getting their very first credit card. And sometimes they may even get it and not even use it because they don't want to owe folks money. And some folks are not just in a position to get one because of some certain barriers that they have. So because of that, we have started providing loans for folks for credit building purposes. You don't have to be credit invincible to participate in these loan opportunities. If you're still working on your credit, you can use this to transform your credit. And if you are trying to establish business credit as well, as you know, business credit starts off your personal credit before it takes a life of its own. So if the goal is for business building, credit building purposes, you are also able to take advantage of these loan opportunities. I'm going to be going through the terms of the loans very shortly. The second loan opportunity I want to talk about is the small business loan. The small business loan, it doesn't have to be it could be a brand new idea, and it could be a business idea that is not incorporated. And it could also be a micro lifestyle, folks call it like side hustle type of business that you want to take the money for. You are able to do so through this particular loan opportunities. So we have credit building loans and small business loans that I want to talk about. So I want to go through the terms and conditions and the process for these loans. And after which I'm going to open it up for Q&A, and then we're going to hear from our speaker. So if you already have questions, please think through your questions when we open for Q&A. Okay, so what does this loan entail? So the very first one is the credit building loans. The maturation for this loan is up to 3 years. We start this loan at $500. And you can say, hey, what do I want to do with $500? Again, the purpose of this loan is really not to do anything than to build your credit. So we start at $500. So the way it works is usually the average rate people get is $1,500 at start point. We do not consider your credit score for this loan. We're going to review your credit if you have it, but we're not making decisions of your credit. It's going to be a soft pool. It's not going to have any implication on that. The way this loan would work is once you get your first 500 or 1,000 or 1,500, you have up to 3 years for this loan. I encourage you to not wait that long. So you can get this loan in 3 months and pay back. Then if you start with 500 or 1,500, then you graduate to 3,000. And then in that period, we are reporting it to the various credit agencies, and you're building credit. And it's all pretty flexible. So once you return the 3,000, you graduate to 6,000. Then we go to 10,000, just the way your normal credit card would work. And it will go all the way to 25,000. At that point, we are able to make an official recommendation for you to get much more substantial loans to our financial partners. And you're also going to have a lending report, which is very critical for business, because the reason why businesses cannot access capital is almost like getting a job and having work experience. But how do you get the work experience without the job? So you're going to have a lending history that you can generate the report, and you can either use that for personal or business purposes. This loan also includes currently a loan for women-owned businesses and credit building business purposes. It is 0% for the women-owned businesses. Some of the credit building also can be, there are multiple sources this loan is coming from. Some of the sources include SBA. Some of them include philanthropic donations that individuals have made to the organization. So based on where it's coming from, but you are able to get the loan at 0%, but most definitely it's going to be a single-digit interest rate. The interest rate is a term called declining basis, and it's up to 6%. So what that means is that the 6% is going to apply on the balance of the loan that you have. There are no penalties for paying the loans off early. We encourage you to do so you can graduate and go to the next level. So what do you need for this loan? You are going to need a government issued ID for this loan. It could be a driver's license, your passport, or it could be your state ID card. Social security card will be required. If you do not have a social security card, you are still able to get the loan. It's going to be an order success. And those are the reasons why it could be 0% or single-digit interest rate. There are no collaterals for this loan. There's no decisions based on credit for these loans. There is no application fee for this loan. You can use the loan to start a business. You can use it to pay for your LLC incorporation or your website or the basic things you need to start your business. The business also does not have to be incorporated. It could be an unincorporated business. It could be a just business idea. At this time, the financial institutions that are underwriting these loans are based in the DMV area. So the turnaround is going to be a whole lot more faster if you're in the Washington, D.C. area. If you're not in the Washington, D.C. area, we still encourage you to apply for the loans. It might take a little bit longer. You might need to reach out to partners outside our credit network. We are based in D.C., but we encourage everyone to apply. It's only be upfront that those who currently live in the Washington, D.C. area would have a faster response. And the loans are not open to folks living outside of the United States. They're not able to get the loan. Okay, so that is for the credit building loans. Next, I want to talk about the small business loans. The small business loan a little bit more matured in terms of the profile of the people that qualify for this loan. The maturity and the duration is usually 6 months to 10 years. It goes from $500 to $250,000. Some businesses, such as women-owned businesses, very early stage businesses, and those who are still getting below 2,500, sometimes below 5,000, are still able to get it without collateral and zero interest rate. This loan graduates a little bit up to 12.5. Fixed interest rate, it is not declining basis for this loan. Again, it has a little bit more requirements for this loan. You're gonna ask for your bank and business bank statements of up to 6 months. And that will be all the financial institutions that you currently bank with. There will be tax returns, both personal and for your business. So if you do not file business taxes, you might not be able to qualify. So you need your business taxes. And that will be for 2 years. Based on the amount you're requiring, collateral will come into play. And the rest of our team will talk to you about specific collateral that you can use for the loan. There's an application fee for this loan, and there's a closing fee for this loan. It's up to 3%. There will be an explanation for use of funds. So if you have a business plan for this loan, that'll be helpful to have a business plan for this loan. You are able to get a co-signer for this loan if you do not have the requirements. The condition is they have to be formally associated with the business. Okay, that's kind of the overview. So where do I apply at? It is nigeriancenter.org/small business. There is an inquiry form that you fill out and leave us with your contact information so we can follow up with you. Okay, so do we have any questions about our lending programs or any questions for me so far before we turn it over to our speaker? To ask questions, I ask that you can either use the feature to put up your hand so I can unmute you, or you can chat your questions to the chat box.
Hello, thank you for this platform. I have my hands up. Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Just wondering, besides loan, do you have access to grants?
Okay, that's a very great question. The short answer is no. We are currently not a grant-making organization. We are a nonprofit ourselves. However, we received a number of inquiries from the community, and when we have such inquiry, we help make research to the best of our capacity and connect folks to resources they may need. We currently are not a grant-making institution, so we do not have grant opportunities. When we can, we do research and we point folks to the direction they can also look at.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, do we also have any other questions? At this time, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself if you have questions for me, since we didn't have. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to play a short video. And before I play the short video, I want to introduce our speaker. There's a recent documentary that recently, stop sharing. There's a recent documentary that was recently released by the Voice of America, and it's called African Millionaires in America. I wrote an extensive review of this documentary on my LinkedIn page. I was fired up when I saw that documentary. It demonstrates that America is truly a land of opportunities, and the narrative is true. However, as you might have heard, that success and sacrifices is not a package deal. While there are opportunities in America, unlimited opportunities, those who succeed and realize the American dream, they put in hard work, they put in sacrifices, and they put in a lot of faith. I believe that the goal of any documentary or any piece of story content is to help inspire a new narrative. And while folks may think about folks from our community sometimes as here for just asylum purposes, immigrants, refugees, and those from war-torn countries, we see an entire new narrative of those who are here not as consumers, but as creators of businesses, creators of jobs, creators of opportunities. And there's this particular story that really stands out if you've seen this documentary. So I was so thrilled when he accepted our invitation to speak to us today about financial freedom and wealth building. So what I want to do is to play a tiny little piece of that documentary, this introduction, and after which I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Douglas Eze to carry on the presentation.
It is the world's most dominant economic power with an iconic concept that has made it the #1 destination for most immigrants, the American dream. Douglas Eze is one of the 2 million Africans who decided to make it their new country and who was able to transform his life. Beyond the restless accumulation of material goods, the self-described wealth strategist and award-winning insurance agent is now climbing into the wealthiest 1% club of society.
I wanted to learn more about wealthy families. How do they keep wealth in the family from one generation to the next? So I actually wrote a book called Creating Generational Wealth.
An immigrant from Nigeria, he is now a top-of-the-table member of the $1 Million Roundtable, an exclusive club for the top insurance people in the world.
Well, wealth is basically, that money that you're gonna leave for your children's children. Because there's one thing, getting rich is one thing, and being wealthy is making sure that your family, your generations, your name stays in the family legacy forever.
At conferences like this one, Douglas often shares his personal story of making it in America.
Been in the financial service industry for over 20 years, an entrepreneur on a technology company and also real estate.
The next award goes to Douglas Eze.
Well, thank you so much, everyone.
When he is not invited to talk or receive an award, he uses the opportunity to expand his network, a word that he has quickly come to associate with his net worth.
The first time I made $1 million, I felt good. But then I realized, where's the money? It was all in stuff. And then I had to say to myself, man, if you keep spending the money, you're not going to have the money. And Warren Buffett, he has 2 favorite quotes. The first one is, never lose your money. His second quote is, don't forget rule number 1, never lose your money. So I had to change my mindset and start teaching myself how to make sure that I keep every dollar that I spend, I pay it back with simple interest and compounding interest. A lot of people miss that part. It's called self-financing. So what then we try to teach is show people, even if you make $50,000 a year, $30,000 a year, I show them how much that money is valued 20, 30 years from today with an increase. And I say, you know what? Guess who else knows the value of your money? The federal government, the banks, the media.
With 8 businesses under his belt, Douglas's philosophy is simple. Hard work pays off. And when it comes to it, the cash value king, as he calls himself, uses his money to enjoy life and discover new hobbies.
Okay. Yeah. It's beautiful. So, don't mess with me, man.
According to a 2019 study by the Pew Research Center, 1 in 10 black people living in the US are immigrants. 40% of all African immigrants aged 25 and older have at least a bachelor's degree or higher.
Hi, this is Dr. Kolade. How are you doing?
Dr. Akindele Kolade is a certified psychiatrist.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. So as you have heard, do not mess with our next speaker. It does not play at all. Mr. Douglas, over to you.
Hey man, thank you so much. How you doing?
Been wonderful. Been wonderful.
Man, listen. So good evening, everyone. Thank you everyone for taking the time to join. I'm actually here in Vermont. I'm in my hotel room right now. Montpelier, Vermont, with one of our carriers that I do business with. But just this is exciting. I like the credit building. I wish I knew about that program, but I'll talk about that. I'll also talk about some of the things that you all could use to continue to scale and build your wealth. Listen, I'll tell you this: there's nothing that makes me different or unique or better than any one of you. I'm blessed to be a Nigerian. I'll tell you that for sure. And I always say this. I always tell people that I'm blessed to live in. I was born in Lagos. I'm originally from Enugu, but I grew up in Lagos. I went to school in Lagos, so I kind of cheated a lot of you, man, because I have 2 brains. I have the Yoruba brain and the Igbo brain. So 2 deadly combination, man. It's a different world. So that just changes the game totally. So folks, listen, I appreciate all the love, all the support, everything that has been happening. I know one thing, God always does what he does, and that's very important that we keep that focus. But being in this industry, financial service industry, I didn't want to be like every financial advisor, coming from Nigeria with just a high school diploma with no college degree. I wanted to be different. I wanted to find a way to scale my business, one, but I also wanted to understand how are the wealthy families building wealth and keeping wealth forever. Because everybody I met, every family I met, it didn't matter if they were poor or whatever, they all want to be wealthy. So in order for me to be better than other financial advisors that have the knowledge or went to school or whatever the case might be, that have, that don't look like me, that have blue eyes, blonde, whatever. I was like, I gotta do something different. There's a reason why I went to Ikeja High School in Nigeria, Jakonde School. That's the school I went. So, big up to high school. I didn't go to college. Went to Ikeja High School, free public school. So, but I said, what we're gonna do different? What was gonna make? How can I scale? Because I definitely knew I wasn't gonna pass the Nigerian WAEC or JAM. So as soon as I graduated, I was out of there because man, that memorizing stuff and understand, I'm like, no, I gotta leave this country. But I'm originally, we're 4 of us. My sister's the oldest, and I have 2 older brothers, and I'm the youngest. They didn't want to have me. Actually, my parents decided they stopped at 3. My grandma actually begged them to have a child, and then they finally decided to have me. And I had to sell my parents a dream to leave Nigeria as soon as I graduated. They didn't want it, but then, but eventually that's when I knew I was a good salesman, the youngest guy, and I left. But I lost 2 of my brothers one in the plane crash. A lot of you remember that plane crash called Susoliso plane crash. He was a pastor. He was going to go preach in Port Harcourt, and that plane, went down. You all know the story. I mean, he passed away there. And then the one that was older than him, that one also passed away with just he had a stroke, and eventually after a few years he passed away. So I adopted their kids. So 2 I brought to America. They're with me. They're doing great. And then the other 2 in Nigeria just take care of them and their mom. So, just which is what I believe, that's a lot of reasons why the things I do is the dream, the focus, all the, the blessings that I continue to get, and the prayers from people when I was sick, when I had COVID. And I believe it's all the seeds and the positive seeds that I've planted over the years. And it's never been easy, but, just keep pushing forward and keep doing what you do. I own a company called Lago Financial, which is this company. I wrote a book, Creating Generational Wealth, in 2014. We sold a lot of the books. I mean, the reason I wrote the book so that when you could start thinking about generational wealth, you start putting stuff together for your family as you continue to work hard, build, the wealth that you build, because there's so many of us here in America that are doing very well, very successful. But the problem is, when it comes down to it, when we die, we don't leave, we might leave some properties and all that stuff, but eventually all that money is gone, because there's no way of us controlling the money from the grave, like the super wealthy, the families that we hear about, Walt Disney, all these families. There's nothing that makes them different from you and I, right? So I had to research these people to understand how do they do it differently from everybody else. And that changed my whole business, changed my life. And, I've been blessed. I have a technology company. I partnered up with a guy in Cameroon, just from me traveling and just trying to figure out, because one thing I've always said to God is, listen, how can I impact Africa, and especially our country, with some of the things that I'm doing? Because I know with finance, it's kind of different because the laws are different in Nigeria and here. So I'm like, what else can I do? Well, you ask God, he's going to make it happen. And he planted, an opportunity for me to meet a billionaire in at a airport lounge in Ethiopia. I wasn't planning on going to Cameroon, but I was in Tanzania for a wedding. Then I flew to Cameroon, but I stopped in Ethiopia at the lounge, and somebody introduced me to a billionaire, one of my clients as an Ethiopian. I called her, I said, hey, listen, I'm in your country, but I'm in the business class lounge, and she started laughing. We talked, and she said, hey, there's this billionaire that I need him to meet you. He needs to know who you are. I said, all right, cool. And she made that happen. He met me, we started talking. I mean, the guy is very wealthy. He owns a bunch of private planes, but he doesn't even fly them. He rents them out. And that's how successful he is, but he said, where you going? I said, I'm going to Cameroon. He said, wow, okay, there's this young kid that has a technology. I need you to meet him, and he needs to meet with you. So I said, all right, cool, no problem. And he made the introduction. This young boy drove 7 hours from the English side to the French side, because I was at the French side. And we had breakfast, and he told me about his technology, and it blew my mind. And I'm like, man, what made you come up with this? He said, well, during a few years ago, the French government, they got rid of they shut off the internet service on the English side. If you all know what's going on in Cameroon today, a lot of wars, civil war going on little by little over there. I mean, it's serious. But he said, yeah, they shut off the internet service, and he said a lot of cars got stolen. Dangote's trucks got stolen. He said, so I had to think and say, listen, how can I build something that if this ever happens, I could track cars without the use of internet service? And he came up and he dreamt it, and he built a technology that that uses satellite, and we could track cars all over the world using a satellite. And he's like, man, that's how he came up with it. And he asked me another question. He said, hey, if your car gets stolen, what would you do? I said, well, we'll call the police. He said, what if you could use your cell phone and send a text message and shut off the car? I'm like, really? I said, you could do that? Your technology can do that? He said, yeah. I said, man, Samuel, what do you want? He said, man, I don't know anything about business. And I don't have any money. I'm interested. I said, let's do it, man. Let's make it happen. He's a coder. I mean, he's a technology guy. He said, I already researched you when I was introduced, and I'd love to partner with you. That's how we became business partners. And now we're taking that technology to a whole new world. It's here in America already. We've had lawyers on it and everything. So just excited about how God blesses you and puts things in front of you. That's why I always say to everyone, just take your time. There's no such thing as quick money. Some of us, we can't get distracted. We gotta stay focused and continue to build. But today, I don't want to talk about the technology part, but something that if you want to tap in, we have opportunities for people, because we're not doing a franchise, we're doing distributorship, and there's a lot of opportunities for everyone because our technology it's a global technology because of this. We have about 19 satellites up in the sky that we use, and we could find any car anywhere in the world. We could track it, we could do anything. So in case you're listening, you're interested in tapping in, we'll tell you could be a part of that, So I have to sell that real quick because that's my baby. But financial services, let's go into that. I want to show you some, right? Especially when it comes to our money. In the video, I talked about when you pay yourself, it's called self-financing. So let me address that. All right. I want to address that self-financing part because I believe a lot of times we as consumers and individuals, when we spend money, and this is the trick, that the government and the media and the banks, if you've ever watched any of my YouTube videos, I talk about that a lot because coming to America, I realized real quick that this country, the system is designed to move money away from you, right? We work hard. A lot of you work hard. You do everything you can to keep your family excited and keep things going, but at the end of the day, you look at your paycheck, the money is gone. You keep asking yourself questions, where's the money? Well, because of the way the system is structured, the banks are very slick. They build this big dream for us. Let me bring this other one out first, and then we'll talk about the other stuff. So this picture right here, I use this a lot because it just breaks down stuff so simply. This is what I call your personal economic model. Everyone has it. Those that understand it use it to cultivate and build wealth for themselves. Those that don't understand it live paycheck to paycheck. One thing I always say is credit is queen, cash is king. Credit is queen, cash is king. But I kind of change that because it's not just cash, because cash is useless by itself. And especially when you spend cash, a lot of you have cash in your savings account. Whenever you take it for emergency, you spend it, it's gone. So it's useless, really. But cash value insurance, which is something that a lot of us, we don't know about. We hear it, but we're not too sure about it, and we don't use it. Well, I'll tell you this, I own 15 policies, and I'll tell you more about it as we go so you can understand the power of it. Because sometimes when you don't know the power of something, you kind of shy away from it. But I'll tell you, the banks understand it, the government understand it, the wealthy families understand it, and they've been using it forever in America. It ain't new. The U.S. life insurance company, just to give you all a history, the U.S. life insurance company have more money than all the world banks combined. Think about that for a second. The United States, I didn't say London, I said just the U.S. life insurance company, they have more money than all the World Bank and more assets than all the World Banks combined. Everybody could die today that have a policy could die today, and there's still more money in reserve. I mean, the company I was just saying that I'm here that brought me here in Vermont, they have over $48 billion just sitting. I mean, they got money. So understand this. Insurance, if you understand the power of it, which I'm going to explain to you all as we go, it's going to change your family's life. You need to understand what it can do for you. But before we go into that, let's talk about this picture. See, this is your personal economic model. There's these tanks right here. All these are tanks, right? Why am I using tanks? Well, because water and money are both looking for the least resistance to get away from you. Water and money. If you think about it, if you put water in a cup, it doesn't want to sit there. Water is asking you, what do you want to do with me? Do you want to drink? Use me to wear the ground? Do something with me, but I'm not going to sit in this cup. If you ignore water that's in that cup, guess what starts happening? It starts evaporating. After months, after years, that water will be gone. It will be empty cup. Same thing, if you poke holes in it, it's going to evaporate. It's going to be gone pretty fast, right? It's going to drain out and it's gone. Same thing with your money. Your money does not want to just sit around and do nothing. Money got to be used. Either you're spending money or you're saving money. Those are the only two things you could do with money. Spending or saving, nothing else, right? So let's check this out for a minute. So you go out and you make income. Now, some of you make business income. Some of you make W-2 income. That's fine. I know we have a select folks, and some of you are new, you know, in the country, and you're trying to figure out the system, you know. Well, guess what? We all had to be in the shoes, your shoe, when we came in. Nothing, Rome was not built in one day. It's all about being patient, right? And just learning and getting the financial knowledge if you can, or reading stuff, whatever the case might be. But in this case, you go out and you get an income, which means your job says, I'm going to pay you a certain amount of money. The first person that finds out about that is the government. So if you're going to get paid, and I'm going to just use a simple number, $100,000. I know you might say, I don't make 100,000. Don't worry about it. I'm just using, it just makes the math simple for me. That's all. So, you know, keep it simple, you know. So let's say you go make 100 grand. That's what your job offers you. The first thing that happens is this: the job lets the government know that they just offered you a salary of 100,000. The government immediately is going to say, okay, good. We're going to tax you 20%. I'm just using 20%. All right. Just for example, 20%. That means you pay the government $20,000. They're your business partner. But here is the deal. So now you have $80,000 to go home with. You're like, oh man, that's a lot of money in taxes, right? All right, cool. What if your job comes to you and say, well, you know what? We got a 401k plan for you. And you're like, oh, they offer 401k for retirement. All right, cool. So, and the job says, well, you could donate 10%. I mean, you could distribute, save 10% of that money and put in your 401k tank. You're like, really? And you don't have to pay taxes on it. Oh, cool. So you took $10,000 and you put in your 401k tank. You see how it says risk right there? There's a reason for that. We'll get to that. So now you're left with $90,000. So not 80 anymore. So 90,000, because you just moved 10 grand here. But what did you just really do? This is tax deferral. You defer the taxes on that 10,000. You just say, you know what? I don't want to pay I don't want to pay taxes on 100,000. So I'm going to move 10 grand in here. So now your tax bracket is still 20%. Doesn't reduce. That's the message. A lot of people think it's going to reduce your tax bracket. Doesn't reduce your tax bracket. It just reduces your taxable income. So now you're taxed on the 90,000. So that's $18,000 that's going to go through this tax filter. So basically your income, the government is not going to give, your job is not going to give it to you all at once. They're going to give it to you little by little, every bi-weekly paycheck. So immediately the government takes 18 grand out of that money. So you're left with $72,000 for your future. Now, the question I always ask everyone is, based on what's going on in the economy today, do you think taxes is going to be lower or higher? And guess what everyone says? It's going to be higher. You could type it on the chat bar. It's going to be higher. And I say, well, if it's going to be higher, you know, do you want to pay it? and I had never heard anybody tell me they want to pay it, because everybody's like, no, I don't want to pay it. You know, the wealthy spend a lot of money finding ways to minimize taxes. You know, unfortunately for so many days, I have a lot more clients that are, you know, Indians, Asians, white folk that are clients of mine. And because the attorneys I use, they charge a lot of money. But, you know, it's funny because sometimes, and, you know, and I'm going to be real because we're all, you know, brothers and sisters in here. Sometimes we don't see value. You know, I've met some of us, and I say, if I could show you a way to minimize your tax bill and get rid of it, the way, not get rid of it, because again, you know, you can never get rid of taxes totally, but you could minimize it, because the government say, hey, there's ways to minimize it, and they're good with that. And there's strategies that you could use. You know, I'm not going to talk about those strategies here, but there's strategies that is allowed. And you hear people like Trump talk about it. He's like, listen, I just follow the rules. I'm not doing anything illegal. And even Warren Buffett does say the same thing. All of them wealthy families, they just know this strategy. I took time to research these families, and I understand what they do, and they pay a lot of money to find ways to do what? Minimize tax bill. And we're going to get more into that later. But check this out. So this is what happens. When it goes into this tank, all you did was you deferred the tax. Basically, I'm saying you postponing the tax. You telling the government, I don't want to pay taxes on this 10,000 today. I want to pay it in the future. Well, the future, we don't know what the tax bill is going to be, because every time you went out and you voted for that new politician that says, I'm going to raise taxes on the rich, you think they're talking about Oprah or Warren Buffett or Bill Gates? They're not talking about those people. They're not talking about them. They're talking about you, because guess what? How does the government recognize how much you make? Well, through your W-2 income, right? Because they take the taxes out, just like this guy. He had to pay taxes on the money before even touches his hand. He's paid the taxes on that money right there. So you think they're talking about the wealthy? You know why they're not talking about the wealthy? Because the wealthy don't live off W-2 income. They don't take income. When you take income, then you pay income tax. But understand it, that's a total different conversation. But check this out. So the government said, okay, no problem, defer it. Now we put it in this risk tank. And for some of us that are business owners that make a lot of money, let me help you out with this something too. Think about this for a second. You're making $100,000 a year, right? The maximum you could put in a 401k is $19,500. That's the maximum you could put in this account. That's the max. It don't matter what income level you are. If you make $50,000, the maximum you could put in a 401k is $19,500. You make $20,000, the maximum it don't matter. As long as your company offers it, that's what you could put in. But now, the same person that makes $300K, well, the maximum he could put in is the same $19,500. So I kept asking myself a question. I said, well, Douglas, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, I guess sometimes, I mean, because I didn't go to school in America, so I wasn't, you know, I didn't get brainwashed too much, you know, and just be bookworm. You know, I went to Nigeria public school. So understanding that, I'm like, wait, let me sit down and think about this stuff for a minute. You're saying to me that you're going to tell me how much, if I'm making $200,000, $300,000, and I want to save more in my 401k, you saying I can't do it. I can only put in 19,500. And then you have my secretary that makes 50,000. She can only put in 19,500. So what is the government really saying? Well, the government is saying, hey, listen, when both of you retire, you have to retire living in the same street. So while I'm working, I'm living in a nice place, but when I retire, I got to now live in the same street. And then when you talk to financial advisors, the first thing they're going to say to you is, well, don't worry, when you retire, you're going to be on a lower tax bracket because your mortgage will be paid off and all this stuff. That didn't make sense to me at all. I say, you know what? I got to get away from these people, these crazy managers and these people that's trying to tell me something different, because this don't make sense. I need to figure out how come this wealthy person is retired and he's driving a Lamborghini, at age 65, 70. They're taking cruises, traveling all over the world, doing the thing that they love. Why? And then somebody's working at McDonald's and Walmart at age 65. I'm like, man, there's something different. What did this guy do differently from this other guy? And I said, okay, because what happens is this. First off, a lot of people, the money goes up, but it could come down too, which is what's happening right now in the stock market. A lot of you probably noticed that your 401k has dipped, or your TSP or your 403b has gone down, right? Because again, that's the risk we take when you put money in those accounts. But then as a business owner, what happens next? You're like, well, I want to save and put money in a mutual fund or stock. Well, you're already doing that. How are you diversified? You have mutual funds already inside your 401k. Now you go outside and you talk to a financial advisor, and the next day they put you in an IRA. And most people don't even know what an IRA is. They put their money in an IRA, or they just open up a direct mutual fund by itself. They don't even do an IRA. They just open up another mutual fund account. How are you diversified? That means the market crashes. There's war Ukraine going on. You lose money here. You also lose money in your mutual funds. I didn't like that. That kept bugging me. I'm like, man, this is something going on that I need to understand here. Because first I need to figure out what is a qualified plan. Well, qualified plan, this is your 401k, TSP, 403b, IRA. What do they really do? Well, they do two things. They defer the tax and the tax calculation. People are like, what do you mean? Well, I call it postpone the tax and the tax calculation. There's two questions you got to always ask that nobody ever asked. The first one is, what tax bracket will you be in at retirement? What is your tax bracket going to be? Nobody has the answer to that question. The second question is, what deductions will you have when you start taking the money out? What deductions will you have? See, a lot of times we never ask that question, because remember, your financial advisor, whoever the person is, said to you, when you retire, you're not going to have to worry about your mortgage. Well, when you pay off your mortgage, guess what? You just got rid of your tax deduction, right? And your children are grown, they're out of the house. So you can't write them off anymore. And in fact, once you make a certain amount of money anyway, you can't even write off the kids. There's no child credit for that. And then when you retire, there's no tax deduction. So now you got to pay all this money in taxes. So this is the tax history, which a lot of people don't even know. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but check this out. Do you know that taxes was introduced in America in 1913? That's when taxes was introduced. That's when the IRS was introduced. 3 years later, they introduced death tax. So not only do they say, we're going to tax you while you're alive, we're going to also tax you when you die. That's why the government just sits down and they just sit and wait. They collect all the tax money while you're living. And most people don't realize that for every dollar you make, 40% of that dollar goes to taxes. 40%. Imagine that. 40% of your dollar. Now you might say, well, I thought it was 25% or 28%. You forget that your paycheck, once you receive it, you go to your house, you pay utility bill, you pay taxes. You go to the grocery store, you pay taxes. You go buy clothes, you want to take a ticket, a plane ride to Nigeria, you pay taxes. By the time you know it, that's almost 40, some of you 50% of your dollar goes to taxes. Then the next thing is interest on debt, mortgage debt, credit card debt, student loan debt, financing a car debt, another 34%. So between the government and the banks, that's 74% of your money gone. See, the government is very slick. Look at the amount. Look at the 1918, the tax bracket was 77%. The highest tax bracket ever was 94% in 1945. And that's if you make $200,000 a year. See, right now we're in the lowest tax bracket. 37% for high income earners. During the Ronald Reagan era, tax bracket was 28%. See, folks, when you retire and you have $1 million saved in your 401k or whatever, the government is looking at you like, okay, what you gonna do now? Because remember, the new president comes in, I'm gonna tax the rich. Well, who's the rich? They're talking about you, because the real wealthy folks don't pay taxes because they don't receive income. When they raise the taxes, if you retire today, you have a 37% tax bracket because that's the highest tax bracket. Because remember, what did your financial advisor say to you? Well, put a lot of money in your 401k, and so many people dump money in there. Your company is matching 3% and you're doing 15, 17, 18. You're doing more because you want to max it out to the 19,500. And some of you even put more in there, and then you still open up an IRA because you want to minimize your tax. And I get it, and I totally understand. But that's all you're doing is building tax money for the government. Because guess what? The American government is in so much debt. Who do you think is going to pay that debt? We are. They want, because that's how the government make money. They make money off of what? Taxes. They don't print money. They use other people's money, just like the banks use other people's money, right? And we'll address the bank in a few minutes, because right now you got to see the play between the government and the banks. Both of them are very, very slick. They work together. You know, a lot of times we are told that the American dream, and, you know, I heard my brother talk about it a little bit, which is true. You know, home ownership, they push that. Everybody buy a home, buy this house. Good. Sounds good. Even real estate agents tell you that. Buy a house. And there's nothing wrong with that, folks. There's nothing wrong with that. But as long as you understand why you're buying what you're buying. A home is, first of all, when you live in an apartment, right? If you have problem, you call your landlord and he fixes the problem. When you buy a house, if you have problem, who do you call?
Fix it yourself. Yourself.
Exactly. You fix it yourself. You're the landlord. You're everything. So let me ask you a question, because that bank that we're paying the mortgage to, they're the landlord, but they don't even care. And the banks make money off of loaning money out. They make money by using other people's money. So let's address that, because a lot of us come from a country where we didn't understand the credit game. We didn't understand the credit game. We come to America and we still use the same mentality about, I don't want to be in debt. I'm just going to pay cash. Not understanding that there's good debt and there's bad debt. But really, nobody really explains that correctly or to you, so you see it. So I'm going to help you understand it. So now that we see how this country is working, and you see how the IRS takes their share of $370,000 and you walk away with $630. That's a sad thing, isn't it? So let's talk about, let's go here for a minute, and we come back and we'll deal with all this situation. So first of all, you see this safe tank. See how it saves safe. That means any money you put in this tank in your savings account with your local bank is meant to be safe and secure. But unfortunately, what happens? We need money, we go in and we drain the tank. And now we don't have any money. Think about how long it took you to save the money in your bank account. But the question you never ask is, how much interest rate am I earning on this account? Some of us don't even look at it. Well, I'll help you out. Bank of America, they pay 0.25% in this savings account. Now, do you know that banks don't really like savings account? They don't like it. It's a liability in their balance sheet. So it's not like they don't, you know, but they're not going to tell the bank teller. And I'm not talking about the bank teller and the manager that smiles at you. You know, we Nigerians, we love when somebody calls your name. Oh, my bank manager. You know, some of you even go to the bank to do your financial planning with the guy that sits there that says he's a financial planner for the bank. That's just somebody that, you know, couldn't pass, you know, they can't hustle on their own outside like us, that we were born to hustle. He just, you know, I call it the low-hanging fruit financial planner, because you're already a client of the bank. You know, come in, all right, come and sit down here, and we go in and we give him all our money, and he puts you in an annuity. We want to address an annuity later. Annuity, for those of you that is not a wealth building product. Let me just break that down quickly. So, you know, a lot of the mindset, a lot of things that they've been telling you, I'm going to kill all of that stuff today. Are you all ready? You know, we'll kill it. So understand this. The bank says, listen, bring your money, and we take our money and we go give to the bank. Let's play this game real quick. Let's play this game. So we're gonna come here. There's two things you always got to remember. There's compounding interest and there's amortized interest. Compounding interest is when you're getting guaranteed return. When you invest in the stock market, it's not compounding interest. Let me say that again. When you invest in the stock market, mutual funds, all this, that's not compounding interest. Those are speculation. You're speculating. You're hoping the market is going to make money. It's going to go up and down, up and down. That's called speculation. Compounding interest is making money on top of money. So, for example, if you have $10,000 in your bank account that you're getting 0.25% interest rate, 0.25, right? You know, because that's what the bank is paying. In 5 years, your $10,000 will grow to $126 at Bank of America. And that's your 10 grand right there. You made $126. It took you 5 years to make 126. In 1 year, you made $25. So understanding this, right? Checking this out, knowing this. A lot of people are like, well, that's all I know. I'm going to just put money in there. The bank, first off, this 10 grand that you have in there, they hate it. That's why they're paying you this interest rate. Some banks even pay 0.01. Some banks pay that. That's how you know they hate this account. And they even say to you, listen, if you're going to put, imagine the nerve these banks have. They say, if you're going to put money in this account, you better keep an amount in there every month. You got to have at least 10, 5,000, whatever. I don't even know, because I don't have a savings account at the bank. I just have a checking account to pay my bills. Because I'm loaning you money. You have the audacity to tell me how much I have to keep in that account every month, or else you're going to charge me a fee. And a lot of us don't even think about those things. We just go and dump the money in there, and we talk to the bank manager. Hey, man, how now? You know, how you day? What's up? And again, nothing wrong with because the bank manager, guess what? They're a consumer just like you. The bank ain't giving them any information. All the information the bank is giving them is enough information to do what? Collect your money. So it's not their fault. They just don't know any other way. Their job is to do what? Smile and bring you in until you could deposit your account, because the bank is going to take that $10,000, and guess what they do? They have an agreement with the government to take that money and loan it to other people at different interest rates. Some people, they'll charge 5% based on your credit. That's why you got to have good credit. If you borrow it for 1 year, you pay them $856 every month, or you could stretch it out, 5-year loan or whatever the case might be. The bank will make $13.23 and you made $5. See, folks, understand this. The banks make money off of interest, just like you and I want to make money off of interest, right? So I don't fault the bank.
Hi, how are you?
I just need to understand the rules. Once I know the rules, I could play the game. So I took the time to understand the bank rules. And I said, okay, I need to learn how to use the bank, other people's money, just like the banks are using other people's money. So what do? When I go buy something, I don't pay cash. Never, never, never. First of all, I put my money in a cash value insurance. Now, 4% guaranteed return with dividends. Check this out. Look at the difference. A lot of people don't understand the value, right? Look at what just happened. On a 4%, the 5% is higher, right? But I still made more money than the bank. But why is that? And the bank is charging 5. Well, because I'm making money on top of money. It's compounding. But secondly, I'm using the bank's money instead of my money. I let my money continue to grow so that I still have maintained control of my money at the end of 5 years. So remember this, there's 4 C's to building wealth. 1, you got to find an account that's going to give you control of your money, wherever you're parking money. If you're making extra payment today on your mortgage because you want to pay it off, stop it. Because your house is only an investment if it's making you money. And there's no reason why you should make extra payment on the house. But you're going to say, well, I'm going to pay the bank all this interest. Well, let's look at that. Let me help you with that. Understanding, if I go to the bank today to borrow money, and the bank said, we won't loan you money, Douglas. I say, okay, how much you going? I want to buy a house. What are you looking for? I found my dream home. Oh, great, because I watched TV and I found my dream home. The bank said, all right, cool. You have a 401k? Yes, I have a 401k. We won't look at that. How much income you make? You tell them how much income you make. The bank will say, okay, this is your dream home. You found it. It's beautiful, man. We'll give you this money. You're like, oh, man, thank you, Mr. Bank Manager. This house is, this is the house my family will move in. It's $300,000 property. It's beautiful. The bank said, well, you qualify based on your income and your credit. See, income and credit, that means money and credit. They have to be married. They cannot be separate because there's some people that have good credit and have no money. And you have money and have no credit. They have to be married. So in this case, they're both married, so they give you interest. They even give you a very low interest, 3%. The bank says, we'll give you $300,000 based on your income and your credit, so you could go buy your dream home. So guess what just happened? They used your income as the collateral first. And then as soon as you close on the loan, you go to your bank and you close on the house. And you sign on the dotted line, they switch the debt from your income to the house. Now they use the house as collateral. And you put down a down payment, you depleted your account because now your savings is gone because you need a down payment. You put a down payment in there and you finance the house. Now you owe the bank money. So we will look at that, $300,000. You owe the bank, they charge you 2% interest because you have great credit. I'm just using that number, folks, for the sake of this training, right? So 30 years loan, boom, 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 we're gonna go 30 years. So 2% interest, I'm using very low interest. So your monthly mortgage payment is $1,109. And some of you might be like, well, my interest is 4. Let's use 4. I just want to prove something, folks. So now your mortgage is, your $215,000 is what you're going to pay the bank. And a lot of people get upset. Well, I got to pay the bank $215. But here's the deal. First off, listen to this, folks. When you were looking to buy your dream house, nobody told you to go buy. You were begging the bank. You even went and got all your papers, financials, W-2, 1099, whatever. You were bringing paper from everywhere and you were giving them. They already told you how much it's going to cost you. You already know how much interest, but you didn't worry about all that stuff. You wanted the house so bad. Now you got the house. Now you've moved in. All of a sudden you're watching TV and you hear some financial advisor say, why are you paying all this interest? You should pay extra. I'm going to pay off my house. I need to pay off my house because I want my children to have it. Your children don't want your house. They do not want your house. Ask them right now. They don't want your house. They want money. They're going to sell the house, folks, Stop taking money from your income to pay the house off. But let's continue with that. $2,342. Boom. Look at that. You paid it off. Clap for yourself. Good job. The house is paid off. But you still gotta pay taxes. You still gotta pay insurance. And if you live in a neighborhood that has HOA, you still gotta pay HOA. You know, I've gotten houses from a HOA auction where the HOA sold the house that somebody couldn't pay the HOA debt. I've bought tax lien properties from people that couldn't pay the property tax because the children didn't care about it. They're like, well, leave the house, and they got rid of it. So understand this, the bank didn't lose nothing. They still made interest, $91,000. They still made interest. Guess who lost? Let me show you the value of that $1,000, that extra $1,000 that you were given, that you gave to the bank. Let me show you how that looks. Even at a 3% return, I'm going to change this to 3% instead of 4%. I'll put $1,000 away every month for the same 30-year period. 3%. That's $227,000 in profit that you could have made. That's $582,000 that you could have had in for your future person. But you said, no, I don't want this. So remember, the first C I said was control. You got to be in control of your money. Don't give up control. The second C is cost, opportunity cost. The third C is collateral. You got to be able to use your money as collateral to do what? Use other people's money. And the final one is compounding interest, uninterrupted compounding. See, folks, the key is having your money work for you. Don't give up control of your money. The bank already told you what you need to pay every month. So guess what you do? Buy a house you can afford. Don't buy a house that you cannot afford. Don't be in a hurry to get yourself into financial problem. If you buy a house, for those of you that are single, no children, guess what? Don't tie yourself up. If you're going to buy a property, think about it for a second and say, okay, this is a house for investment, renter. I have a client, she's a pharmacist. And she came to me, she said, Douglas, I want to buy a property. I saw this beautiful property, it's $500,000. I said, all right, what you want to do? It's just you by yourself. She said, yes. She said, but I've been watching some of your videos and I've been thinking about it. I said, well, are you okay with having people live with you? She said, I don't give a care. Yeah, they can live. I said, well, rent out some rooms. And she did exactly what I told her to do. She pays zero rent. I mean, all her tenants, she has 4 renters. She's in the master bedroom, stays there, and she rents out the whole house. And guess what? Everybody's paying her mortgage for her. So what I did tell her, he said, you did qualify for this property, right? She said, yeah. And you could afford to pay it if all those 4 people moved out. She said, yes. I said, if that's the case, then we're going to take that money, that monthly mortgage that you could have been paying, we're going to start paying it into a life insurance policy. She started doing an insurance policy of $5,000 a month because that's what her mortgage could have been. Folks, understand this. It's all about the way you create your situation. Money works if you keep adding money to it. So one thing that we do best is this. I help my clients find money in places that they're throwing money away unknowingly because they don't know they're doing it. And unnecessarily, I could fix it for them. And some areas that we found that people throw money away unknowingly and unnecessarily, the way they pay their mortgage, the way they pay for their children's college, which is under conversation. A lot of wealth transfers occur with college funds, like the 529 plans, all those things, and the way you pay for your children's college, the way you pay your taxes, the way you contribute to a qualified plan, the way you make major capital purchase when you're going on a trip to, vacation, or you're buying a car. A lot of wealth people transfer millions of dollars away every year, money that could be coming to them. They transfer all this money away into the wrong vehicles, and they lose. Because when you don't have control of your money, by you not saving money in the right vehicle that's protected. Do you know that life insurance is the only vehicle in America, in the world, that doesn't go to probate court? Your savings account at your local bank goes to probate court. Your house will go to probate court, because so many families don't even have a trust in place. What is a trust? A trust is a living, breathing contract that the government recognizes as a person. But there's about 80 different types of trust. There's some trusts that just designed for probate protection. But then there's other trust that is designed for asset protection and probate protection as well. So it protects your asset and probate. Those ones cost a lot more than the regular traditional living trust that most lawyers set up for people, because they just know what they know, and that's okay. The lawyers that know a lot more set up a different, that's why they cost a little bit more money. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you got to think protection, protection, protection. And one last thing, and then you all could ask questions. Annuities are money makers for the insurance company. They're not designed for wealth building. They're designed to distribute income. That's why when people win the lottery, they get annuitization. Annuity is a moneymaker for insurance company. There's what they call alternative investment. A lot of you qualify for alternative investment. You could get into those things, but nobody, because we get our information from a financial planner that listens to the media for his financial advice, and we invest in the wrong things. There's investments that you could invest in, even if you're not even here in America. Like I have clients, I have banks that I do business with that invest in some of our alternative investment. Why? Because they're safe, they're secure, and you don't lose nothing and still get double-digit returns. So folks, do y'all have questions for me?
I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Douglas, for the eye-opening presentation. And folks just kept coming back and back. We definitely have to bring him back, most definitely for sure. But I think we have 4 people put their hands up. I'm going to ask you, Mr. Douglas, to be a little bit more fast with the response. So we're just going to close it out. I promise it's going to come back to continue this.
Well, let them ask questions, my brother. You know, it's all
No. We will take the question,
Okay.
but we have to close pretty soon.
Okay.
They have their hands up, so you can actually call them the person you want to.
All right, Madam Larry.
Hey, Doug.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
Great.
So the alternative investment, I mean, here in America, we've also experienced people that put money with, what do you call it? Bankers or whatever, like Madoff, and they made off with their money.
Right.
So how do you make an intelligent assessment of where you put the money, if you're talking about alternative investment, and the type of trust that you can actually, have the cash value insurance in?
Yeah, definitely. So one is, there's tons, and you're right, there's tons of situations where people have been dealt with. Yes, that's true. But there's still great opportunities out there that have proven themselves. So companies that I use companies that have been in business for over 70 years. And whatever you do, for example, we have a company that I do business with, and they only buy land. They buy land and they develop the land. And when they develop the land, they sell the land to investors that want to build on it. Because just because you buy a land don't mean you could build on it immediately. You have to do certain things to make it ready. You gotta get permits and stuff. So that's all they do. And they guarantee our money when we loan them. It's called a bridge loan. We loan money to these folks. So because we loan them money, guess what they do in return? They guarantee our money with using land as collateral. So we've never lost any, we had any problem, even during COVID. So that's one. The second one is what we call life settlement. There's life insurance policies that people sell. They get rid of it. Life insurance, you could sell it. Most people don't even know that. You could sell a life insurance policy that you don't want anymore. You know, for a lot of older people, they're older, they want to get rid of their policy. They're like, I've had it for a long time, I don't want it anymore. They sell it. People like Warren Buffett, he puts about $600 million every year in life settlement. So I happen to work with a company that actually supply Warren Buffett his policies. So a lot of those type of things exist, and insurance companies are not going anywhere. They're the richest in the world. So there ain't no Madoff happening over there because your money is going to be safe and secure. Now, when it comes to life insurance that has living benefit that you can use, we don't use a lot of companies. I'm very selective of what companies I do business with, but life insurance is a great place to park money. And unfortunately, not every insurance agent understand how to sell it. They sell the wrong one or they design it wrongly. So that's why we're very, very careful when we talk about it. We say, let's say you got to get in the room, sit down, understand it, work with a person that knows it, how to do it correctly, and even ask them how they use it for themselves. You know, I have over 1,000 agents that I train, inspire, help, and they're working in my organization, my company. We have our own company. We're not a multi-level marketing. We don't do all that other stuff, but we focus on educating. So whenever you're ready for, you know, a policy, and some of you can even get a policy where you could get a bank paid. I have a guy right now I'm working with. His net worth is over $40 million. And I'm getting a bank to pay the premium. He's about 39 years old, you know, very successful medical doctor. You know, actually, he's a PA. Actually, he's not even a dog. He's a PA, physician assistant. But him and his business partner, they own an urgent care facility, and they've done so well. You know, they own 4 of them. So they're selling those things off. They're very wealthy. They're doing well. So I'm protecting them, but I'm getting a bank to pay the premium. The premium is $1 million a year. Why would a bank be interested in loaning money to this family to buy life insurance? Most people don't even know that those things exist. When you have a certain amount of net worth, that's why you got to work with it. There's opportunities for banks to pay your premium and loan money to you. So, but we could talk more about that. All right. Olukayode.
Hi, thank you so much for all the things that you shared. And I have 2 questions, if it is possible. The first one is, I'm very interested in the technology company that you talked about, because I'm pivoting into that myself recently, particularly digital marketing and tech sales, and learning to code as well. But I'm very passionate about Africa. And so if I can have more information, that would be awesome. The second question is, I'm asking this one on behalf of an organization that I know to be doing an amazing work for Nigerians, both here and at home, called NAPAC. And come 1st of October, NAPAC will be celebrating Nigerian independence. Now, I want to ask if you would please consider donating some of your books that we can raffle as part of the experience for the Nigerians who will be coming out to celebrate. And if actually it is possible and you can make it out to California to join the celebration, and we'll create a special experience for you where you can sign the books for the people, that will be awesome. But please, would you consider—
Douglas is a member of NAPAC. He's a member of NAPAC, Maryland.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. So anyway, please consider some of your books. That's the second question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I also asked him privately. Thank you.
Okay. So here's the deal, right? I mean, you know, here's the you gotta remember this, right? Donation is one thing, right? But when, see, if you remember in that video, right? What did I say? I say sometimes you pay for knowledge, because people don't pay for something, they don't pay attention to it. But what we can do with the book would be, NEPA could buy it for a certain amount, and you all could sell it at the thing for a certain amount to bring money to your organization. That might be a good idea, you know, than just saying, you know, because you know, that's probably the best way to do it, than just saying, you know, give away books for free. Because again, if people don't pay for something, they don't pay attention. And the book ain't that costly. It's like, I mean, $10, $20, right? You could pay, we could work something out where you could do certain things, you know, because again, it's just what it is. I mean, you know, but we'll talk more about that. You know, I remember always, for us to always think about, because we always got to remember, when it comes to situations where there's certain knowledge that was spent to do certain things, because first you got to pay the printers to send the book out, all that stuff. There's so many things that goes behind the scene, you know. By the end of the day, you know, people assume that, hey, because somebody got some money or whatever the case, they're not doing any other thing. We have a foundation as well. We do a lot of charity stuff already. So, you know, we support a lot of things already. So let's just, you know, don't assume things. There's some things we'll do for free, but there's some things that just doesn't, you know, equate to that. It just, you know, so NEPA could do some things. Like, for example, I have schools that order my book for price, they pay for it, and then they sell it for, they get at a wholesale price, and then they sell it for retail because they understand the value of what they're going to get out of it. That's just the thing. District influencers.
You truly have a combination
Hello?
Bible brain.
Say that again?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, hi there. Thanks so much for this powerful information. My team and I are facilitating a beautification and revitalization project and coming up on phase 3 of that, which is Revamp My Home. And we've gotten a lot of great support, a lot of great feedback about the event, and just wanting to know, how do we get this information to more of our teams? I put the link in the chat to verify, like, where do they go to apply? I just wanted to verify that that was accurate.
Apply for what? Sorry.
So there were, I know, Benga, hello Benga, started at the beginning of this talking about the /opportunity link.
Right.
Yeah, oh,
and
okay.
I just wanted to verify.
Oh, sure,
the
sure.
Actual.
Okay, so this is Benga. Yes, so if you go to nigeriancenter.org, and if you go to the small business section, there is a link there for them to sign up. It's an inquiry form. So you can submit an inquiry on behalf of the group, or individually they can fill out.
Oh.
Yes, so
individuals can, so sorry.
nigeriancenter.org /small business. Individuals can fill out inquiry forms to be assigned a program manager with a nonprofit. They'll also assign them a loan officer to work on their loans. If you want to apply on behalf of your group, you can fill out on behalf of your organization. They will follow up with you on that.
And just to clarify, your recommendation was to start with the individual $500 loan, and then the businesses, and then that grows in increments of 500s. And then the business loan to start at the $2,500 loan mark to build their credit.
Yeah, so the individual loans starts at 500, doesn't get an increment of 500. A few factors will determine what you'd be approved for. So you're approved for 500, then it goes to 1,000. Typically it's 1,500, then it goes to 3,000, then 5 or 6, then 10,000, 15, 25. That's how it goes for individuals. Existing businesses can go up to $250,000. They can actually apply for the entire $250,000 at once. Those are existing businesses. Those type of loan has to have collateral, credit, and a few factors were considered into that as well. So, but I was saying for the inquiry or application process, they can just submit an inquiry on the website and then we'll follow up with them. If you go to our website, we have a phone number. You can also call us as well and we'll follow up with you. I hope we answered the question, District Influencer.
Yeah, and the last question was that he recommended that the money should be in the checkings and not the savings because that is what the bank is leveraging.
Okay, so that is a question for Mr. Douglas, but before that, Mr. Douglas, I'm going to ask you to take a couple of questions at once, and then so we can
shut it down.
We can end strong.
All right.
Yeah, those were the connecting of the dots for that.
Yeah, definitely. So what I was just saying was the savings account, you know, you're paying taxes on the interest you earn. The interest is very low. The bank is using your money to make more money. So best to just have a checking account to pay your bills. And then we look at a different account. And I recommend a cash value, a properly designed cash value life insurance. Not all of them are designed correctly. One thing that we do, the company that we use, we were able to negotiate with them and they built a policy, a product for us that you could put money today, take it out tomorrow. So very strong. You don't have to wait years to get money out of a life insurance policy. All right. Yeah, send me a message, Adedayo. We can. So my contact information, it's very simple. If you go on my IG, I am Douglas Eze. Hit a follow, send me a DM, put the word cash on the DM, and my AI will jump on and book a meeting with you and me. You're not going to be talking to my assistant or anything like that. You talk to me directly, and I'll be able to help you. All right, let's take a question from Tony. Or whoever wants to jump in, you can mute your line.
Hello.
Yes.
I guess that's me.
Okay.
So, Douglas, thank you so much. This is not a question, and I'm sorry. This is so golly. So, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Monique for bringing you to me. Thank you for just educating us, and oh my gosh, you've blown us off the water. I wanted to ask for you to please put your contact in the chat box. There are many people who have been texting wanting to know how to reach you. If you just put it in there, that'd be great. Monique Williams, thank you so much for Douglas. God bless you.
Thanks. All right. Who else wants to jump in?
Yeah, I want to jump in.
Go ahead.
Good evening to you. I came in between, but the little that I had was very educative to me. Being an elderly person, especially with the savings, with putting money in the savings, I had my money in the savings account. And lately I thought that I'm tired of that money not yielding anything. So although I have a cash value life insurance policy, but the reason why I had money in my savings is that so that I can be able to take them easily when I need them, or when I want to give gifts to friends or something like that, and I need to buy the gift easily. But I had so much debt that I had to withdraw some of them to keep in the house, because it doesn't make sense to me keeping them in the bank and it's not yielding anything. I was looking at it, being a former banker in Nigeria, that when you put money in your savings, it yields better than your checking. But here is the opposite. So now you advise that one can open an insurance fund. So how do we do that?
Yeah, we just send a message and we could sit down and talk about it and see which one makes sense for your situation and what it is that you're looking to do.
Okay.
All right. And my email is on there, Douglas Alago Financial, and I put in also in the chat bar 10K Douglas, that has all my contacts. So, you know, that you all could definitely use.
Thank you so much for educating us. God bless you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Douglas Eze. This is Veronica Fuebune. We are so, this is mind blowing, the lies, the confusion. So I definitely want to follow up. And you do annuity, you do estate, you do everything, or just financial advising, or what is it? And also, I'm glad that you've given us, I was going to ask how to contact you. This is mind blowing. Thank you. And we have to blow this message out. You're probably going to be bombarded by Nigerian community. This is phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we do. So I'm a financial advisor. I do all kinds of
financial services.
I do all kinds of financial planning. Annuities I only do if I need to, but that's not, you know, but we have other products that makes more sense than annuities. And but we'll have, so one thing that I actually do with people when you meet with me is I get to understand your situation first, see what's going on with your financial world, see where you're losing money unknowingly. For example, the way you pay certain things, and also see your financial bucket. You know, if all the holes in the financial bucket, because you can't fill up water in a bucket that has holes in it. It's going to keep leaking. So we have to plug the holes first before we start filling up your financial bucket. That makes sense?
Have you crossed over to us that also have all these maybe land properties in Nigeria, how we can leverage them? Because they are sitting there, a lot of us are just sitting here, and you have all that. So it'd be nice to know if there's a way to connect your asset, the whole thing. And please let me just plug in to say thank you, Lukayode, because he represents the question he asked you for me and him and all of us. Thanks. Okay.
Definitely. So, I mean, again, you know, Nigeria is a different animal, and you all might not like what I have to say, but the first question is ask your children, because we bought this land for the kids. Ask them if they want to do anything with those land. And if there's nothing they want to do with those land, you know, flip that stuff and buy land. Come do, you know, your heart is where you come here, and there's a lot of opportunities here with money. You know, we go, if they want the land in Nigeria, great. If you're not building anything, you're not doing anything, if it's not making you money, I know you want it to appreciate, which is great. It's going to do that. But do your children even know where those lands are? Do you have anyone that's going to take over the land? You know, all these things. I mean, I had a family here that they had a bunch of properties in Nigeria, but they're here struggling, right? They're struggling. The guy's retired, barely has 100 grand in his bank account. I said, okay, all right, come, you gonna move back. They don't want to move back to Nigeria. You know, I'm like, so your children don't want the land. They don't want those properties because they're already Americanized. So I said to the grown children, one's pharmacy, the other one is a two pharmacists, one is a doctor. They're not interested in going home. So I'm like, so why are you killing yourself? Here you're working 3 jobs, your children don't want the property. And if something happens to you and your wife, then the uncles and relatives will take all that stuff and your kids are going to just be here. So, you know, have conversations. The problem that we have a lot of times is we don't have conversations with our children. You know, all my kids know what's going on. You know, and I know which one is going to be running stuff for me. I know which one ain't going to do anything. You know, family, we got to have those family meetings. And because when we die, guess what? It don't matter anymore. All those things that we've built, if we didn't talk to them about it, we didn't show them, they don't know where the money is at, they don't know what properties you have, they don't know anything. All those things going to go to somebody else. So
wow.
Let's have conversations with our children and make sure we're all on the same goal, because your family is a business. You're the president, your children, you're the vice president if you're single. But if you're married, husband and wife, president and vice president, children are your employees of the family business. You got to have family business meetings. That's what wealthy people do.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think we have one more
Good question.
Apology.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your patience. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Linda, and thanks, Mr. Douglas, for the wealth of knowledge. I am interested in learning more about this. I know you've talked about your book already, definitely getting that. And then I'm just curious if Lago Financials provides any form of training. And as a young person like myself, I'm interested in also leveraging some of your financial services. I know you have shared your email address before, but if there's like a course that you teach around this or any training, basically.
Yeah, there's a course. I have a course called havemoneyforever.com. So that course is available, havemoneyforever.com.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Douglas, for this wealth of information that you've shared with us today. You're definitely going to come back because this is mind-blowing. Thank you for your generosity and your commitment to the community. And thank you for being a symbol of reality that we can all aspire to, and opening the door, climbing the ladder of success and keeping the door open so we all can come through. Thank you so much for this wealth of information. For those who are asking, this presentation is being recorded, and we're going to be sharing that information shortly after this presentation. A few things I also want to go through quickly. I wanted to quickly plant a seed. The dates will be announced, it might be premature, but we are planning an exclusive viewing and meeting the cast of the Millionaires in America documentary. All the cast are going to be in person, and we get to interact with them. That information will be forthcoming, so stay tuned. That's coming soon. I hope you all can still see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So the next I want to talk about our upcoming event. We are having an immigration right workshops on April 31st, which is family-based immigration. You don't want to miss this. Please reach out to your communities. And we're looking for partners for this particular program to get into more communities. The application is open, so you can go to nigeriancenter.org/events, and you can RSVP for this event. If you want to speak to an immigration lawyer, we have a network of immigration lawyers right now taking cases and providing pro bono services. There is a $50 fee for our immigration program that goes towards the cost of our program. There is no cost for consultation. They are all free provided. In some cases, you might be able to get full representation, regardless of the duration of your case, even if it's 10 years, without paying additional money. But at the very least, every single one gets consultation, regardless of their immigration status. So indicate while you're filling the form if you want to speak to a lawyer. If you go to nigeriancenter.org/media, you can review all the recordings, including this one, available to you on demand. We are always asking for volunteers. Douglas has generously donated his expertise. You can also volunteer in speaking capacity, in service capacity, in campaigning capacity. You can help us with phone calls. You can help us get the word out. You can be a brand ambassador for us. And you can support us in any way in which you could. We just started our community partners program. It's a periodic calls and meetings we have with our community partners. This particular program, Mr. Douglas was here through to the support of a wonderful partner organization called NAPAC. They facilitated this. So we are a small organization, but with the communities, we know we come from a culture that is communal. And with all the resources, we can create a crowdsource, an open source platform that continue to uplift the community. So whether you come from the media community, the medical community, faith-based community, whatever communities you come, please be a part of a community partners program so you can get these resources to your communities, and you can tell us what are your community's priorities for our program design. Join us on social media if you have not done so, Facebook, Twitter. On Twitter, we are just Nigerian Center, Nigerian Center. but Twitter and Instagram and Facebook is the THE Nigerian Center. We need your donations. This cannot be possible without money. I often say when change happens, Douglas spoke about speculation. A lot of people wait and speculate and try to see how this would go. But some people stand up and say, I want to make change happen. You can make change happen with your donation. Someone said the other day, if you can go, let your money go for you. We need your donation. And also let's change this narrative that we don't support each other. This is a community organization. Please go to nigerian.org/donate. There's a lot of money for the program that we have. We are supported by the DC government. We are supported by several organizations. But my dream is have 100% our expenses covered by the community. So please go to the donate, consider becoming a recurring donation. We have 501c3. Your donations are all tax exempt, tax deductible. And also reach out to us for corporate partnership and sponsorship as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, one more thing I really want to highlight are two products we're lending: credit building loans, as well as small business loans. So right now we're now offering credit building loans from $500 to $25,000 at 0 interest to 6% declining basis. What that means is that whatever the balance of the loan is, that is what the 6% would. It is 0% for women-owned businesses. So I would take advantage of that. If you don't have Social Security card or you're in the process of your legal status, you're still able to get the loans for your business. And you can get, so reach out to us for that. Mr. Douglas asked me to remind him to tell a story, but we didn't have time for that. We'll tell the story when it's coming. But I really don't want you to see this because, oh, what will I do with $500? It's not the money to spend. It's the money to build your credit. And once you start with 500, it goes to, usually it's 1,500, it goes to 3, 5, 10, and it goes on. There's a priority for those in the DMV area, but we are able to work with those outside of the DMV area. Existing businesses are able to apply right now for up to $250,000. That do come with some requirements attached to them. I will not be able to take additional questions. Lastly, if you give me 1 minute, I'm going to share with you all the link for the evaluations for this particular class. So I have put the link in the chat box. Please right now go and evaluate this class. Let us know, give us suggestions what you want to see next, so we can incorporate all of that into it. There was a question in the chat box about collateral. The credit building loans are without collateral. The small business loans are with collateral. And also the credit building loans is for credit, without credit decisions. We will check credit. It's a soft pull. It's just to get data. We are funded by the government and some institutions, so we can track demographic data for reporting purposes. We're not making decisions of your credit.
The question is actually on business loans, and I responded that it's up to 22. I wanted to write 250,000. I want you to correct that with collateral.
Excellent.
I'm answering a question for you.
Excellent. And that said, I want to thank you everyone for tuning in today. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Thank you everyone for coming. And for those who join us for the first time, welcome to the Nigerian Center. And we look forward to continue to work together. Thank you all.